This is Eat, Sleep, Invest, the marketing podcast for real estate investors to get more deals.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I'm here with Dave Lecko. What's going on, Dave?
Brian, it's great to be on this podcast with you, especially since we just had a week in Tampa, Florida, where we played pickleball together, and I really enjoyed that.
Pickleball is awesome. I went out and bought some paddles.
I actually also have a paddle. It's such a big deal here in Austin. The PPA is actually based in Austin. Did you know that? Pro Pickleball Association.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the first time I played. I played racquetball. I'm like, this is totally different. This was fun, and I was sweating. It was good.
You actually liked pickleball better than racquetball?
No, I don't like it better. It's different. I like it a lot, though.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Racquetball I like because I can do that. I can even practice racquetball by myself.
Yeah.
Pickleball, you got to have someone else on the other side.
You do. That is true.
You know? So hey, Dave, so you give everybody a little background on what you do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I've got 8 rental properties, and I run a company called Deal Machine that's helped 6,000. Well, let me back up and say we've really helped 75,000 people over the years do real estate deals, and we've been around since 2017. So you know how like house flippers, they need to find a house that looks run down, and you're familiar with that, right? You got to find a house to flip if you're going to flip a house. Well, so our app helps you get in touch with owners of distressed properties and then get in touch and ask if they'd like to get an offer on their house. So we do that by letting you drive around and look for houses and input those in the app, and then we can tell you who owns it. You can send mail to the owner asking if they want to sell their property. And also you can pull a bunch of data like, let me get all the senior owners that have a lot of equity in their homes. Let me send them a piece of mail, or let me send them a text message or give them a call. And so Deal Machine is just a marketing tool that provides that data and handles that type of marketing for real estate investors.
Yeah, and I've used your software too. I like it. I thought it was really interesting. My business partner, I don't know if you met him, Chad, but I looked up his address, and it actually has his personal cell phone on there.
That's how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to get in touch with people, and we give you the personal cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, so I was pretty amazed because everyone's like, yeah, we can get phone numbers, and then it gives you their 10-year-old landline.
Right.
Like, it literally had his personal information on it. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah.
You know?
So what'd you say to Chad when you got him on the phone?
Right? I sent him a screenshot. I'm like, dude, did you know your personal cell phone's public?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Well, he didn't know, but he's like, it's pretty cool. Now, so your software is really good for guys wanting to drive for dollars, get into real estate and find those deals, but then also seasoned guys too. So let's start with like the new guys wanting to get into real estate and don't have the $20,000, $10,000 budgets per month. Run through how that looks.
Yeah, so when you're new getting into real estate and you don't have a $10,000 to $20,000 budget every month to find deals, which is the size of budget that like a medium-size house flipper or real estate wholesaler, somebody that looks for properties then to flip right away to a hedge fund buyer, for example, would have. So you've got a few different options. There's really 2 options that I think, 3 options, okay? So let's say that you're just like a mom and pop person trying to get your first deal. One option could be that you could just get on these wholesalers lists and then see the off-market properties that they advertise. I'm going to make it 4 options. Number 2, you could just look on Zillow and you could scroll over to see properties for sale that have been listed for over 90 days. And then you could see if any of those might be good deals. But if you don't find any good deals doing either one of those 2 things, then you might need to go find your own deals. And so the third way would be that you drive around your neighborhoods and you look for rundown properties. These properties would be physically run down. They would have really tall grass. They would have a broken window, or they would have a tarp on the roof, or maybe the grass is just really tall or the mailbox is stuffed. Those are some things you'd look for. And then you would look up who owns the property, and you would send a postcard to that owner saying, would you like an offer on your house? And if you do that enough, somebody is going to respond, and eventually you could talk to somebody about buying their house that way. And the fourth way would be you could just buy a list of absentee-owned, high-equity properties it would need to be a larger list than the driving for dollars portion. And because of that, you'd need to send more direct mail, more postcards to those owners. And so it would be faster than driving for dollars, but it would cost you extra money because you'd have to send more mail to find a property owner like that way. So those are the 4 ways that you could look for deals. And Deal Machine, the app that I created, helps with 3 and 4 in those examples, where you're either looking for your own distressed properties and you're sending mail that way, smaller list, takes more time but costs less, or buying, any type of list and sending a lot of mail, so faster but costs a little bit more money. So those are the 4 ways that you might look for properties, and we help with the last 2.
Yeah, and it's like I always see these houses too. I'm just driving around, just doing whatever. I'm like, man, that place is beat up. I really wish I knew who owned that. Your software comes in. Well, one thing I really like about it, even before I get into that, is most people think they have to send mail. They have to go buy a large list and send in bulk, which most of the times you do. With you can send one-off postcards, which is awesome, because someone with low budget, it's like, okay, it can cost I don't know what the price is, 60, 70 cents or $1, whatever, but you can send 10 postcards in a month to 10 houses if you want, and your budget's only, you're under $100 or $150 total, including everything. Mm-hmm. So even people that are just trying to get into their Uber drivers, stuff like that, just have the app on their phone. When you see these beat up houses, just pull over, pop it in. And what else is cool is you just press a button and it does it. It's not hard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I like what you guys did with the interface. It's super simple.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. One thing I've learned over the years is that the simpler something is, the more likely somebody is going to do it. And so whenever it comes to getting into something like real estate investing, there are already all of these reasons why you might do it. It might be that your parents are kind of being negative in your ear. They don't believe in what you're talking about, and that can kind of get you down. Or it could just be that you're really busy because you've got a job and you've got a partner and maybe a few kids, and that just takes up all of your time. And so, you're going to be more likely to do the work of finding properties and getting in touch with them if that process is easier. And so that's been the concept of how we designed the app the way it is, trying to make it as simple as possible.
And it is easy. And then you look at everything in business too. It's like you can either trade sweat or you can trade money. Mm-hmm. So people just starting out, they don't have the money to buy the list and send all the mailers. They're going to trade the sweat. So they just drive around there, but they still don't have to get a hold of the county, things like that. You make it easy. They press a button. It's like an easy button. You press a button, you get their phone number, you send them a postcard, you're done.
Right.
What made you get involved with this?
What made me get involved with real estate? Well, first of all, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was a big inspiration for me. And then I went looking for a cash flowing rental property because I had played the cash flow game. You can buy any property, but if you buy a house in that property that's negative $100 cash flow, you might be able to sell it for a profit later if you land on the right space or roll the right dice. But in the meantime, every time you roll the dice, you're paying $100. So eventually, you might just run out of money. So you've got to buy a house that cash flows, and I strongly believe in that. And so I then went looking for properties on the MLS. I ended up finding a couple, but it wasn't like there's always one available. And so that's whenever I started driving for dollars, looking for rundown properties so I could take more control over how I was looking for properties.
When was this? When did you start getting into all this?
2016. So that would be 6 years ago.
And you're talking the cash flow game, the board game, right?
The cash flow board game is also a digital game online on the Rich Dad website. So it's the exact same game, but it's a digital version of the board game that you can play for free. So the board game is super expensive. It's like $300 because it's like an educational tool. And then online you can play for free.
It's funny. I just bought the kids version. They have a kids version of that game.
Good.
It was expensive too. It's for I don't know, up to 12 years old or something. I bought it for my kids. We were just playing it. And you're right. They charge you like $100 or $150 for a board game.
So how old are your kids, Brian?
11, 8, and 7.
Okay, so your kids are 11, 8, and 7. Whew, you got 3. Wow,
Yeah.
that is a lot. We're talking with somebody who doesn't have a lot of extra time probably to be real estate investing if you've got 3 kids.
Oh, you know it.
So does the 11-year-old like get the cash flowing concept?
He does somewhat.
Okay.
So they're picking up on it. He gets it, but not in the real world. He gets it in the game.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yeah, he gets it in the real game, but he doesn't get it in the real world.
He still wants to spend money on apps.
Apps. What do you mean
Like,
apps?
So when you got the kids, these freaking apps that they're playing on a computer,
Yeah.
like on their tablets,
Yeah.
they're just games, and they have so much clickbait in them.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh yeah, $5, you got to download some Roblox or whatever. You know what I mean? So these, all of my kids fall for these traps. I'm like, come on, guys, those are freaking liabilities. That's getting you nothing.
Oh, okay.
And they haven't got the connection yet of, which they're young. They're probably not gonna for a while. But it's like they want to give $5 to the app to get, they say even in Fortnite, to get a skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, kids, they deal with that, and it's tough these days too. Like I'm a little bit older than you. We didn't have all this stuff when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I don't even, like we didn't. It was all, hey, we go to the store to buy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely didn't have any apps that you could purchase for, but I mean, it's kind of a different thing too. It's like not like he has a house he can go buy right now. You provide everything as his father, right? So it's like not like it's really going to improve his life at the moment.
Yeah. But point is like bringing that, like having to play that kind of stuff too. It's like, yeah, introduce this stuff to your kids early.
Or
It may not.
do you give him an allowance, or where does that $5 come from?
You know what? I make them every time they read a book and give me a book report on a weekly basis, they get $5.
Okay, so they do have an allowance, and they're buying it from that $5 that you gave him.
Well, they're allowed to do those. Yeah, I had to implement that because before they're like, hey, I want to get a download. I'm like, no, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, do dishes. The book one I'm really liking because it's forcing them to read
Yeah.
and then report back and show that they retained it.
Uh-huh. Well, I do respect that. I like how you give them an allowance so that way they're spending it from their own budget.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah,
bought a house, maybe they could have more allowance, like from
Right.
the house, right?
Yeah, and then it's the thing too. It's like dealing with kids. You try to instill with them. Okay, we do well because they don't experience what the hard times are. Like growing up, like my family wasn't really rich or anything, so we experienced like the pains. But my kids are doing pretty well. It's like, how do you find a balance of sheltering them and keeping them safe versus letting them see what the pain is like too, so that they know, so they're stronger when they grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
let me know how it goes. Let me know if they end up
I'll keep
getting
you posted.
any opportunities to buy a cash flowing asset as a kid. I'd be really interested in hearing about that. And for now, I guess they'll just buy some skins.
Right? Yeah, they'll just buy skins. Different topic. So you have 2 partners, right?
Just one.
Oh, just one. Okay.
Well,
How's that work?
yeah, actually, so in Deal Machine, my business partner and I, we both own Deal Machine 50%. And so when we started out, we were quick to make an operating agreement that was legally binding and talked about how much ownership that each of us had. And what we felt was, Deal Machine was, first of all, it was just like something I put together for probably a year. So it was just me working on it. There was no business formed. Put it on the App Store, and some people started downloading it. And then I was like, man, I really need my friend Dave to help make this better because he's talented. He's really talented on the software development side. And he was like, oh, maybe I could have 30%. But I was like, no, this is going to be a long haul. I really need you to be equal partners because I don't want you to feel later on like, I know I'm going to need you. So I don't want you to feel like you're getting the short end of the stick when in reality, like we're both going to need to work on this for quite a while for it to be something meaningful. And so we've been at 50%. And honestly, even like the last couple of years, I feel like he's pulled more weight than me. And so I'm like, boy, I'm glad I did 50% because he'd probably resent me, right? If I had more than him. But yeah, that the work from both of us kind of ebbs and flows. He's taken some time off a couple years ago as well. And so we've always had that agreement from the very beginning that we each owned at 50%. Now, we worked with like a finance guy. His name's David Bull, and his company's Arc Financial. This guy's really smart. He helps a lot of people that are, well, first of all, he's just helped a lot of people through, business divorces and how that impacts things. And so he helped us put this thing in place called a push-pull agreement. So that means if it comes to this point where neither one of us can decide on the right path forward, it protects us from having to be tied together forever. It also protects us from like lowballing each other on trying to decide how much we would buy each other out for. And so the first person, whoever wants to execute the push-pull agreement first, would say, hey, I got to execute this agreement, and the price is $5 million. And then the other person has to decide who buys it from who for that price. So you get what I'm saying? Like, if you lowball it, well, they're just going to steal your half of the business from you. And so it really protects you from lowballing it, and makes you, the idea is that it makes you very fair about the price, and then the other person gets to decide who buys it from who if you have to use that agreement. But it's very nice knowing that that's in place, because if we ever did agree, there'd be a process that we both agree on to separate while still keeping the business as healthy as possible.
Yeah, and you're right. That is, well, you said a couple of things that are really important. Operating agreements are huge. It's like when you get into business, plan for the divorce, because just things grow, things change, stuff like that. And I like how you have the push-pull agreement in there too, because then it's not. It comes to a mutually agreeable decision based on if one person picks the price, the other person gets to decide, things like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. What are the dynamics like? Because I know, like, I have a business partner. We actually got involved in a similar way. And sometimes you get the disagreements and button heads,
Yeah. Is that on your wholesaling business that you have a business partner?
No, on Motivated Leads for the digital marketing.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen a lot of people do, partnerships on the wholesaling side. Most of the time, I really just haven't seen them work out. And the wholesaling business really requires you to be working. And so for that reason, I feel like you should just probably try to do it on your own, then try to get a partner on the wholesale.
I agree on that. Yeah, on the wholesale, I agree on that too. It's like, go out and hustle. Like, you don't need other people. You can do it. Like, a lot of people, I think they need someone else because of the confidence.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Just jump in the water. Like, if you find the deal, use Dave's app, and if you find the deal, it's easy after that. Mm-hmm. Like, you go find the deal and get a good thing. You'll figure out what to do with the property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm glad that you don't have a partner on the wholesaling side. You've got it in the Motivated Lead side. And I actually do have a partner on a few of my rental properties. It was somebody he lived in Chicago. He had a good job. He was a stock trader for a hedge fund. So he had a pretty good income. And he wanted to invest in real estate. He saw what I did with my first property and the yield that it got. And so he wanted to help out right whenever I was kind of quitting my W-2 job and starting Deal Machine. And when you do that, you can't get a mortgage for a couple of years because they need to see a history of business income in order to qualify you for a mortgage. So I had this couple of years where I was finding great deals, but I didn't have the means to put the mortgage down on it. And so what we did was he brought all the down payment and he put the mortgage in only his name, but he put my name on title, tenants in common. So I own half the house, but I have no mortgage on my name for those properties. But the value I brought was just finding a killer deal. And then I put the resident in place and managed it. And if there's any renovations, I managed that. And so that worked out to be a really, really good deal for me. But I knew him from internships that I did in college. And so I think that's where people get into trouble when they're working on wholesaling, and then they find a partner that they maybe met at a conference, and then they kind of get married right away. And it's just kind of odd because, well, some people get married to their husbands or wives right away, but for the most part, I would really like to take my time and date that person and really understand and get to know them, because being a business partner is actually more serious, in my opinion, than being married in terms of the assets that you might have to split up if you were to get that divorce, which happens just so often.
Yeah, and you know what, too? It's hard to split a house.
It's hard to split a house. So you're going to end up having to sell it probably, right?
Yeah, you have to sell it or you have to be able to buy them out. And if you're just starting, you might not have the cash to do that yet. So be careful.
Mm-hmm. So with those few houses that I got during that time in my life, it made a lot of sense. But then lately I've bought more properties on my own because that just makes sense to me. And luckily that partner and I have always both wanted to do long-term rentals, hold them kind of forever. If that were to change, we might have a problem. But luckily we haven't had any problems. It's been fun.
Yeah, I like to buy and hold. That's the same thing I do here. And I take it back too. I do have Chad's a partner on maybe 3 or 4 of them on the singles.
Got it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What's your goal on that side?
I'd really like to get to 20 properties. That's the point where I think I could actually hire somebody in-house, at least part-time, to manage the properties. But right now I'm just self-managing it until I get up to that level. My properties rent for like $1,200 to $3,000. And I feel like if I had 20 of those properties, like that would be enough where it would make sense to actually have somebody in-house managing it.
You're crazy self-managing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Call me crazy. What do you do?
Yeah. I do. I'm property manager.
You have a property manager or you are a property manager?
No, you know what? I managed my properties the first couple.
Yeah.
And I get really bad tenants.
Why'd you get really bad tenants?
Because I meet with them and I let them talk me into renting them when they don't qualify.
Oh yeah, you can't let your tenants talk you into renting to them when they don't qualify. You have to absolutely have a very strong rule. And actually you can get yourself into legal trouble if you start wiggling for some people but not others.
100%. Yeah, so I looked at that and I started getting a property manager when I had like 4 properties maybe. And it was the best thing I ever did because now it's just a number.
Yeah.
Like I see, okay, do they qualify, not qualify? Sewer's backing up. They say, hey, we good to send someone out. It's just a money game now versus having to be involved in dropping what you do.
It's kind of interesting though, because when the sewer backs up at my tenant's house, all they do is send me a text and all I do is text a handyman. So I'm curious, why would I pay a property manager 20% to text me when the tenant's just texting me anyway? And it's like, I'm not doing any extra work. So I can't figure that out. That's why I haven't really gotten a property manager.
Yeah, I think the reason I like it is I don't want those distractions. I don't want to be at Saturday at my kid's birthday party and getting distracted. I got to drop what I'm doing right now because I need to. And I don't have a whole crew of people anymore. Like I don't have the handyman that I give a lot of work to that will drop what he's doing.
Well, but didn't you say the property manager texts you to see if it's okay to send out somebody?
Yeah, I just give him a thumbs up. That's it. I don't even have to think about it. And anything under like 250, they don't even ask. I can just like go for it.
Nice.
Plus, renting them, I don't like dealing with that part of it. I don't like any parts of it other than buying the property and fixing them and making them nice.
Okay.
Anything after that, it's like pass it to those guys, and I'm gonna work on getting leads.
Yeah, getting it and making it look nice is fun too. I like the transformations.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. So talking about that brings me into like balancing your life, like balancing work overload, overworking. What do you do there? Because I know you guys are hustling over there.
Actually, we've got a pretty hard and fast rule that we work 9 to 5 Eastern time and we stop working. We don't send out emails after 5. Dude, I've like been surfing 3 times a week on Lake Austin. I've been playing sand volleyball 1 time per week. I've been taking improv classes at night once a week. I took a storytelling class. I'm hosting cocktail parties. I knocked on all my neighbors' doors and invited them to game nights. Dude, I'm not overworking. I'm having a blast. I'm living life. I'm enjoying life. I'm doing a track day at Circuit of the Americas 2 days this weekend. So I am not the guy who's overworking. And my team's not either. That's been an important part from really my partner because he's had a wife and kids pretty much the whole time. I've been single, so it's easy for me to overwork. But we work hard. We just make sure we're really efficient during the planned hours. And we don't want to guilt somebody into working after hours, taking time away from their family.
Yeah, what's up with the improv? What do you got going there?
Oh, just for fun. It's like a mental workout. I think that's the best way to say it. So every Tuesday, I'll have class, and then every Wednesday, I'll be an amazing listener. And then by the time Monday rolls back around, I'm back to my old ways. So it's really just like fitness or taking a shower or going to the gym. It's like, well, I thought you did that yesterday. You're like, well, yeah, but I need to do it again. It's what I do. And so it's just become a really nice mental fitness that I've enjoyed and feel that it just makes me a better person.
That's cool. So what are you doing? You're taking the class on improv, like pretty much like you just get a scenario and you improvise?
So the first class is a lot of games, and it's a game that the instructor will like guide you guys through. And oftentimes the game just requires that you're like zoned into what's happening. Otherwise you're going to mess up. And so it really pushes everything else in the world out of your mind and focuses you on the present, which is also an amazing takeaway from doing that class, is I'm just usually more present the following couple of days that week.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I guess doing other, so some people will work 12, 15 hours a day, and you're probably more efficient than a lot of them because you're hyper-focused and you take, that's taking a break and replenishing your brain to be able to do what you do on your work hours versus off work hours, if that makes sense.
Hopefully. I kind of thought about it like this, though. Like, I have enough money. I am 33 now, and next year I'm going to be 34. And so it's definitely not old by any means, but also I only got 1 year to be 33. So, I freaking grinded a lot in my 20s. I sacrificed a lot in my 20s. I didn't go on trips that my friends wanted to go on. I lived with 3 roommates because I was minimizing my expenses as much as possible so that I could put that money into real estate. I felt like I didn't date because, well, first of all, I lived with a bunch of roommates and I didn't have any money to date. So what was I going to do on a date? I sacrificed a ton in my 20s. And so now that I'm in my 30s, will more money make me happier? Actually, money does, that's helpful. But also, what's the whole point? I'm just going to enjoy being 33. And when I'm doing these things as a 33-year-old, that's going to be a different experience than doing them when I'm a 60-year-old. So I really don't want to wait until I'm retired to do a bunch of fun, cool stuff. Like surfing, I don't know. It might be harder on my body in 30 years. So I just want to do that kind of stuff that I'm really interested in while I got the time.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah, you're only going to be 33 once.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I always dreamed of having this amazing car, and I have the car now. Driving it as a 33-year-old will be a totally different experience than driving it as a 65-year-old. You get what I'm saying? It's the same car. I could have it later, but it's just a different experience having it now. And so that's something that I always use when I'm thinking about balance, that you were mentioning.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you got to make it till 65. You recently just lost a bunch of weight and are working like crazy, right?
Yeah, having a 6-pack at 33, definitely going to be different than having a 6-pack at 65. I'm just guessing. I don't know. We'll find out. Only one way to find out, though, is to do things that are important to you while you're right here living. You never know how long you have.
Yeah, six-pack's rough, too. What made you decide to do that? And what's your process?
So when I got to Austin, I wanted to work out. I was inspired by the coach I ended up getting paired up with at my gym because everybody he trains is a bodybuilder. I'm not competing, but I knew I just wanted to look better. Austin's got great weather. People are in their swimsuits all the time, and people are fit, and I really wanted to look good. So that plus, I went on Carlos Reyes' podcast, and he was like, you need to do the 75 hard. That mental toughness challenge will not only set you on a path towards health, but it will also, pour over into your business, the things that you'll learn from doing the 75 hard. So that's kind of what set me off. And then I just started waking up a little bit earlier, and I started doing a little bit more cardio. And then I started following the meal plan from my trainer a little bit more. And then it finally, when I first started off, I was like, dude, you don't understand. I've got to travel a couple times per month. That's going to make it difficult for me. That's why I didn't eat your diet. And then he's like, no, you don't understand. You're just not committed enough, and you need to accept that or be more committed. And so now I just take all the meals, and when when the results started coming in and I could start to see my six pack, I was like, oh, motivated to go even further, take it to the next step. You get what I'm saying? It was like the results then became the addiction, but I didn't get the results until I just got in line with the process and really, really got excited about the process. It wasn't until then, after months, dude, there was like 2 months where I probably only lost like a pound or two each month. You know how ridiculous that is for like the strict dieting and also like going to the gym 5 times a week plus doing 7 cardio workouts per week? It's just so much to have such a little result. But then there were other months where, you know, like 5 pounds came up. There was a lot of progress, but I just had to stay focused every day, no matter what the result was. Like, just kind of enjoyed the routine that it put me on.
Yeah, you almost need that routine too to do that kind of stuff. It has to be like almost the same. You have to plan your week out so you don't have to think and give into the weakness or whatever that, you know what I mean? And you're right too. Sometimes, yeah, you won't lose a lot of weight and your body's changing. So you're gaining muscle, losing fat, but you might not lose the weight on the scale.
Right. Yeah, your body composition changes for sure.
Which kind of, it's kind of like, oh man, I'm not losing weight, but really your body's changing. That's pretty good though, man. I give you some props there. That's hard to get.
Thanks, man. I know that you have this goal too for this year. So are you going to work with a trainer to help achieve it?
Yeah, I got a trainer.
Dude,
Yeah,
he recommended some weird things. I'm so glad I had a trainer.
Like what?
When I felt like I had a lot of progress, I wasn't eating much carbs, but then I also slowed down on the progress. And he was like, you need to eat rice. You need to eat more rice. And I was like, dude, no way. I'm not going to screw up the progress I've made by eating more rice. And then I was just like, okay, but I'll just listen to you. And then that week lost 1.5 pounds. And the way he described it was like, dude, you've been restricting so long, you've really got to rev up your metabolism and fire up that engine again. So that way it starts burning a lot and then we'll cut it back again and then you'll lose more. And so he was right. Several times he made weird suggestions that I just wouldn't have thought of doing. And I was scared to even do, but just trusting him is, that's just been a great lesson, right? It's like, just trust the guy who knows what he's doing. That way, if it doesn't work, it's his fault, not mine.
Right. That's so huge too, though, with trainers. Like, I used to think I'd try to eat healthy, and I would even eat things that I thought was healthy, and it wasn't. Like peanut butter, for example. There's so much fat inside of peanut butter, or even nuts. You need that person. Like, why try to figure it out on your own? And anything, any business, anything in your life, go find the person that already knows how to do it. They can help you save from all their experience.
Yeah, agreed. There's a ton of different ways. His way is not the only right way to do it, guarantee you. I mean, for every freaking diet there is out there, my neighbor will not eat plants. But I've always been told, plants are very healthy. They get, right? It's like all these positive things. There's somebody who would tell you that any diet is good and they'll be believable. But I think you really just got to pick something and follow it. And that's how you've got to get the results, is realize there's more than one way to get there, but you just got to pick one and you've got to stay consistent with it.
Yeah. Do you think it's sustainable? Like, you're in a routine now, like what you're doing, you can sustain?
How do you know if something's sustainable? I like it. I've been doing it for like 6 months and I am still seeing improved results. So at the moment, it seems like it's good.
I mean, like mentally, like I see these guys that go on diets that are like, I'm just going to eat bars all day and I eat dinner.
Bars? Oh,
like
granola bars?
Or whatever.
Well,
and I'm like, for me, I don't think I could do that for the rest of my life. I could do it in spurts.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to change my lifestyle to adapt, and that would now be my lifestyle.
Gotcha. Well, I did get on this path in increments. I didn't just go cold turkey like you said, because I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. But again, I liked the results. I actually like the food that I eat too, because in the morning, and I eat a lot. Like even though I'm like losing weight, I eat a lot. So I have like 7 egg whites and 2 eggs in the morning, 2 packets of oatmeal, a banana, and a protein shake. And then I eat 7 ounces of chicken, a cup of rice, and broccoli, not just for lunch, but also at 3 o'clock. And then I'll have like an 8-ounce steak at night with some broccoli, and then finish it off with another protein shake at the end of the day. So I actually think all that food tastes phenomenal. And if I want more flavor, there's tons of 0-calorie hot sauces. Like, I have really double down on hot sauces. I've got 25 different flavors. I spent $100 on Amazon to get every 0-calorie hot sauce version of Tabasco and Cholula, and even there's a 0-calorie ketchup. Mustard is also zero calorie. And then I've been getting into coffees because that's also a way to unlock amazing flavors for like 0 calories. So I just took an espresso class, and I just actually bought a legit machine. Hasn't arrived yet, but loving those options to get some incredible flavors while also keeping on my goals. Because I'm like you, I like flavors.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's a lot of protein.
Yeah, I think you add it all up, and it's about like what are you supposed to have your body weight and protein every day? It's kind of like,
Yeah,
I hear that advice from like pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's about that
fine.
much.
Yeah, it's real clean. You know what I just found? I don't know if you've ever tried this. Every once in a while, if you want to get like a sweet thing or something, I got unsweetened yogurt, and you put in a scoop of chocolate protein powder with blueberries.
Yeah, dude. I did skip that. When I have my evening protein shake, I have 120 grams of blueberries every day. It can be any kind of berry, but I just love the blueberries, and that does give me that sweet satisfaction in a healthy way.
Yeah. It's tough though, man. Good job.
Cocoa, you said like the cocoa powder, I think that's pretty low. It's like maybe no calorie. I don't know. But yeah, cocoa powder tastes really good.
Yeah, I use it's a protein chocolate cocoa one. It's called Gaspari's protein.
Okay, protein. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really good. And I love plain yogurt with berries, like plain Greek yogurt, and that's got some protein in it too. I was doing that when I was bulking up.
Yeah, try it out, man. It's really good.
I love it.
Hey, well, we're just about out of time. Anything else we wanted to chat about? Kind of went sideways there.
We did. Do you want to circle it back with some real estate advice?
Yeah. What's the number one mistake you see people that are just getting into the business make?
Number one mistake is, you get into analysis paralysis. You feel like you can't make a decision because you don't have all the information. I think talking and listening to podcasts from people that have done deals is really helpful. And also attending local meetups or having some exposure to somebody who's got a lot of rentals where you can talk to and see that they're profitable and see that they've been doing it for a long time. Use that to give you confidence to take action. And when you hit a roadblock or something unexpected, then tap into some on-demand knowledge, as we like to say at Deal Machine, where you could talk to that expert about the issue you're having and work through it. Personally, that's how I learn. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I could watch a bunch of YouTube videos and kind of learn something, but it never really sets in until an opportunity comes up for me. And if I worried about the 100 things that could go wrong, if I had a rental property and this or that happened with the tenant, I still wouldn't have one because 100 things is so many things. Really, not much has ever gone wrong for me, thankfully. I've had some lessons that I've learned from, but it's all been overall positive. And so I'm so glad I took that step so that I could learn the way I need to, which is by doing. And that would be the number one mistake I see people kind of like feel uncertain about taking action because they don't have all of the answers, but that's okay.
Great answer, man. That is huge too, because everybody is in their head all the time.
Everyone's in your head all the time. I get it. I like to know information. I'm always trying to learn stuff, but my biggest takeaways have been from taking action, and it feels great. It feels great. Definitely gives me some confidence when I do what I say I want to do, and that feels great.
Yeah, and in the first couple times you do it, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, it's hard doing things like that in the unknown, but once you do it, you kind of build your confidence. Okay, well, I can do more things.
Right. Well, what would your advice be? If somebody saw that you had just done this real estate deal, maybe it was a friend from high school you haven't talked to in a long time, and they messaged you and they said, "Hey, I would really like to get into real estate investing, Brian. Where should I start?" What would you say to them?
Yeah, download Deal Machine, right?
That's really kind of definitely is a good place to start. It's a good tool for getting started.
Yeah, mainly you're right. That's kind of the same thing. You got to surround yourself. If you surround yourself with successful people want to help people get where they are. So if you surround yourself with those people and are like putzing around, like you actually want to do things, people will want to help you. It's just in the nature. Like, people got where they got by working hard, and then they want to pass that along, because a lot of us feel lucky. Like, I feel lucky I got where I'm at. I put in a lot of sweat. But then if you see someone hustling, it's like, hey, you know what? Here's what I learned. Try this. Might save a year of mistakes, or might even save you the mistake of getting into real estate, losing your shirt, and never coming back into it. So surrounding yourself, and then just jump in the pool. You're going to be able to swim, or you're not.
Let's talk about losing your shirt for a second, because that's obviously like the worst case scenario, and to me, like, isn't going to happen. How do people lose their shirt? Like, what extremes do you actually have to go to lose your shirt? Like, do you have any stories that you can think of people that lost their shirt?
I do. I've lost my shirt before.
How did you do that?
Yeah, so back when I was probably 25, I got involved with real estate my first time. Got involved with pre-construction real estate down in Florida. We were traveling back and forth, got hooked up with the wrong people, but I lost my shirt in that situation because I started working and then I stopped sleeping, and I broke my brain, right? Like, my brain literally just broke from not sleeping and stuff like that. Like, you got to have the balance there too. It's like I was pushing so hard, and then you come back and it's like, oh man, that really didn't work. And that can screw you up for years. You know what I mean?
What do you mean you weren't sleeping? Like, because you were stressed, or because you were just like, no, I'm going to work instead of going to sleep?
Yeah, it was like a snowball going down the hill. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then it's like I want to just keep going and keep going. I just skipped nights of sleep. Just kept working, and your body doesn't work like that.
No way. Yeah, it definitely, mine doesn't.
Yeah, so
then what, did all your deals go like, what happened? How'd you actually?
I ended up in a mental ward. Like, I got 302'd, like I literally broke my brain.
Wait, what is 302'd?
That's like when they say, hey, this guy's crazy, stick him in a padded room for a little while.
Damn. What? You went to a mental ward?
Yeah, like way back when, you know? Yeah, it's like, and then you got those failures, and that, like, stuff like that sucks because it changes the whole way you look at things. It's like hard to come back from because it really takes a hit to your confidence, you know? So people take these hits, and it's like, okay, am I going to accept that I suck or can't do anything, or am I going to change and go back at it? I always just tell myself, just try one more time. It's like, you fail, you don't have to go crush it. You just come back, and I just got to try once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's like that one sucked.
Yeah. You know? So did you actually lose money? Like, did you have rentals? Did you have money tied up? Like, obviously money was the last concern if you've lost your brain, but.
Yeah. Yeah, what I did was I took my first property, I took a home equity, like I refinanced it, took like 40 grand out, which was huge, invested it going back and forth, and lost the whole thing. So I took a financial and a learning lesson, but also experiencing that.
What did you invest in that you lost some money on?
We were doing pre-construction. I was going back and forth down to Florida all the time. So back then, in pre-construction was the boom. It's like, hey, you could buy a property in like a condo or something, first phase when they're building it, and then by the fourth phase, your property you bought for 200 is now worth 400.
And that's because they've like, why would it appreciate so quickly?
It's just how the market was going. This was back in like, this was right before 2008, like the bubble. So everyone could get money. But the first phase, like usually in any building, any place we're building, the first phase is cheaper. Second phase, third, and these have 4 phases. The houses they build last, because the place is already populated, or sell for more than the first ones because you're buying a house that has nothing else around it. You know what I mean? You're the first building in that lot of land.
Mm-hmm. So that was very speculative. You were buying, assuming that there was going to be a ton of quick appreciation, and so that was risky.
Yeah, well, so my part of it was I was getting involved in the business, selling the real estate, and my expenses were traveling back and forth, getting all involved with this kind of stuff, and it just blew up.
Got it. But if you're buying a rental property, as long as you're not buying it, well, even in your case too, as long as you're not, if you're buying something that cash flows, which if it was speculative, pre-construction, it definitely wasn't like a cash flowing asset. Yeah.
Right.
If you're buying something that cash flows, you can't really lose your shirt.
No. Yeah, if you buy properties right, you're fairly good.
If you buy the properties right, you're fairly good. There's no way for you to lose your shirt.
Right.
Got it.
I'm with you there.
Okay. I think that's a good lesson for somebody to take away who's brand new, because if they think about, well, what are they scared of? What is preventing them from taking action? It could be these thoughts of like, well, what if I lose all my money? And the reality is that if it's in a cash flow market and they're buying it in a way that cash flows, meaning that the rent what it could rent for is more than what the mortgage is and the taxes, then if that's in a cash flowing situation, it's very unlikely that anything could happen where they would lose their shirt. Assuming they have property insurance, which you have to have if you're going to have a mortgage anyway.
And if something bad happened, if you buy right, you can always liquidate. Again, like, because you have the margins there. You could even fire sale it if the market completely crashed and just sell it for what you had to get your money back.
Yes. Well, let's just say in Indianapolis, like I've got these properties. Let's say that we do have a reduction in property values in Indianapolis. Now, we haven't seen that yet, actually. Q3 was up the last time I looked. Haven't seen Q4 yet. Well, it's not done. But let's say that we do have a reduction in values there. I don't expect my rent rates to go down. You know, I've got leases locked in and the mortgage is also locked in. So the value of the property on paper may go down, but I'm still good because I bought it cash flowing and it still cash flows and I don't need to sell it. It's cash flowing. So I should be 100%. Good.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, as long as you're in a good neighborhood, stuff like that, you're fairly, I like the game. I do the BRRRR too, so I don't really have money tied up in the deals.
Love the BRRRR method.
Yeah.
Because you've got virtually no maintenance for 10 years, right? If it's brand new, if you redid everything, the BRRRR method is going to give you a property that's going to be, pretty much a free house because you don't have to put any money down once you refinance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I like now. It took me a couple of deals to be able to get that kind of cash to buy them. You have to buy it cash. But yeah, you're literally buying it, fixing it, rehabbing it, and then fixing it, and then you get all your money back, right back.
Uh-huh.
Fun stuff.
Well, how do you like to end your podcast, Brian?
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. We covered a lot of stuff here. Hey, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book right now is The One-Page Marketing Plan. And I think the big takeaway for me is people need to hear from you a lot. You know, for people who are just getting into finding their own deals, they may be upset because there's a rundown house in their neighborhood. They've sent a couple postcards, haven't heard anything back. They get frustrated. They're like, that's my house. I found it. It was run down. It's in my neighborhood. I should buy that house. When really, you just need to expand the number of people you're talking to. It's a numbers game. So you need to talk to more people. If you're looking for rundown houses, like at least 300 houses. And then like very few deals happen the first time you contact somebody. Any sales advice says you need to probably contact them 12 times. So that'd be my biggest transfer of knowledge from the one-page marketing plan is you're not communicating enough and you're not reaching enough people. You know, you got to bump both sides of that equation up for you to have success.
That's a good one there. Hey, if someone wants to reach out, website, what's the best way to connect with you?
Best way to reach out is dealmachine.com, or I am active on Instagram, Lecko, Dlecko. And those would be the two best ways to reach out.
All right, man. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate you.
Hey, everyone, thanks for listening. Get out there, crush it, and close some deals.
Agreed.
Hey.
Yep. Talk to you later.